steam coming out of my exhaust pipe. So I guess that's indicative to a bad head gasket. I'm going to turn her off and look at the oil. There's no water in the oil. The oil's clean. So that's weird. Trying to see if I'm losing any coolant. Doesn't appear to. So I'd like to see, is there any bubbles in there? When the car's on, if there's bubbles in there, then that's a good indication it's a head gasket. If the car's not overheating, no, there are, I don't see any bubbles in there. Straight. So, working on trying to change the PCV valve, which is, see if I can get you to see it's right in there. I don't know if you can see it. It's right, yeah, there you go. See that little red thing right there with the hose on it? Got to get to that. Well, I removed the full fuel rail, and there was a bunch of oil on my injectors. Not water, but oil. I'm gonna check the plugs. This thing was smoking real bad, and so I decided I was going to change the PCV valve on the advice of someone who had a similar problem. They said that you had to drop the engine. I was trying to do it without dropping the motor. I thought I would be able to, but you know, really, I would like to have a couple more inches to work with, so I'm going to go ahead and make some lowering bolts. I couldn't get them in the United States, and I want to get my shit running, so I'm going to go ahead and make some lowering bolts with some M12 1.5 all thread and a nut. I actually have 4 suspension nuts for Mercedes C230 that they worked perfect. They're a one-time use jam nut, you know, those little locked on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and use those I'm going to cut them on my pit saw, and they're going to be a little bit shorter than the ones you buy, but they'll be fine. I should be able to get good 3 inches out of it as far as the drop, and that'll give me enough room to get that intake manifold off. Anyway, I'll click back on once I got it. But I just basically detached the connector, wire connectors, unbolted the fuel rail, unplugged the injectors, set the fuel rail aside, plugged my holes, cleaned around the area before I remove the intake manifold so no dust gets in there. Now I'm going to fabricate the bolts, and then I am going to lower this cradle down. I'll probably have to remove the brake block to give me a little bit more room, but I'm going to try to do this without having to disconnect anything on the engine. I don't want to have to disconnect the cord. I don't want to have to disconnect any AC lines or coolant lines or any bullshit like that. Anyway, I'll get back to you once I got the engine dropped. So here's a video update of replacing the PVC valve. As you see, I got the custom homemade lowering pins in, and I got plenty of room. I can do anything here. I think I didn't have to disconnect shit. You know, just lowered the motor a little bit. I got plenty of room to remove that intake manifold and replace a PVC valve. Not a problem. My lowering pins aren't even though they're shorter than the ones you buy at the store, they're not even, let's see, get my flashlight, they're not even all the way, you know, down. So I got plenty of room. Look at that. I got so much room to fucking work on this thing now. It ain't funny. And I didn't have to remove or unclip or fucking unplug anything down here. I did remove the brake block from the body, and that gave me a lot of, was able to lower it, so that was good. So anyway, I am going to remove my tailgate just so I can get in there better, but I am happy with the lowering pins and the access that you are able to achieve to get that damn motor lowered to where you can remove the fucking intake manifold and get to the stupid PVC valve. Tell you, man, finding parts for this thing's a bitch. So I think that you could probably go to a Mitsubishi dealer and give them this number that's on this fucking PVC valve, and you'll be able to find it. I'm pretty sure of that, because I'm sure that Mitsubishi didn't make just this valve to work on this engine and only this engine. And it has a Mitsubishi logo and a Mitsubishi part number. So 65. Okay, so I got to where I can get to the PVC valve. I'm just gonna lift this up and do a surgical procedure. You're gonna have to get creative here. There's 5 bolts. There's one here, one back there, one here, one back there, and there's one back here. Okay? Now, what I've done is I built me a tool. If you look at this socket, you see that little square? That's actually a very tiny, powerful neodymium magnet. And what it allows me to do is when I have to retrieve a bolt from a place where I can't get my fingers in, it holds it magnetically so I can pull the bolt out. It also holds the bolt in so I can get it back in, especially this one here that's right behind the alternator, or in front of the alternator, however you want to put it. But now I'm going to change the PCV valve. There's a lot of oil in my intake manifold, so that's going to have to blow out. But it looks to me like it's definitely a crankcase breathing problem. Thing probably got plugged up, and it's just... So I got the new PCV valve in, and I'm changing the spark plugs. You see they're saturated with oil, just like my injectors were. And I'm going to torque the bolts to 18.3 foot-pounds. That is the torque specifications for the intake manifold bolts. Then I'm going to put the rail back together, the air box, connect everything up, drop down the engine, and we'll start it up and see how she does. I'm sure it's going to smoke for a minute until it gets all blown out, but hopefully this fixes our problem. We'll see. Okay, so we got the air box in. We got everything in. We got our intake manifold torqued down. We got our fuel rail, new gaskets on the intake manifold, new O-rings on the injectors, and we got our brand new, see if we can see this here, got our brand new, where is that son of a bitch? Let's see here. I was able to get it last time. Let's see, where is this? Right in between here. Anyway, we got our brand new PCV valve. ready to rock. I don't know what this shit is. And it's looking good. So now, hey, you can see it there kind of. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna lower our cradle back. If you look back there, you can see a threaded bolt. Let's see if I can get it. See a threaded bolt on the, see that threaded bolt right there? That's the positioning pin, or the lowering bolt that we made. And what we're gonna do now is we're going to jack it down a little bit on each side. We've got 2 floor jacks, 1 on each side. And we're going to lower her down to get it back into its position. So I'm gonna take a little bit off of here, and what's it gonna do is gonna start lowering back down where it belongs. But we wanna do it a little bit at a time. We don't wanna do all at once on one side, because that'll just bend our lowering bolts. So we just go a little bit at a time. And, you know, make it a little uneven for now, but now the engine is slowly getting back, and we're gonna set our subframe back on our frame. Okay, see how we're doing that a little bit at a time? See how it's coming back up there? Now this is a mess. I gotta figure out how to get this. I might have to drill some holes and tie wrap it or something. I don't like it. Yes, down. Ooh, a little bit too much. Yeah. Back. See how our engine is going back to where it's supposed to be. Just go ahead and get that one, and then get this one. There we go. Now we got our engine back in the position that's supposed to be. The lowering bolts are the way to go if you're going to do anything like this. This was really not a bad job, to tell you the truth. It wasn't that bad. So anyway, that's it. We got her. I'm gonna start it up, see what she does after we put the subframe bolts in. Okay, so we got the little smart car up and running again. I didn't put any of the skirts on because I wanted to, just in case, you know. But look, no more smoke. It took a while for everything to burn out. I had to drive it around the block a little bit. A couple puffs of white smoke, but then it cleared up. And now it's nice. Look, fixed. So anyway, I wanted to share this video because I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube where they're removing the engine completely out of the car to do this job. And that didn't have to happen. We were able to do the job without removing the engine completely out of the car, just by making some pins out of all thread. We lifted up the body of the car away from the engine to give us room, and we were able to do the job and fix the problem. So great. Gonna put her back together and have some fun.